I hate Apple. I could go on an old man yells at cloud rant about Apple. It's so homogenized. Everything is the same. It's caused a level of decline in computer literacy because everything is so much the same. And then the planned obsolescence, my God. Like, I buy something, I want the thing to always do the thing that it did when I bought it, even if something better comes out. That shouldn't mean that my thing just spontaneously is unable to do that which it was created for. But Apple has normalized this. And what really sucks is Steve Jobs is, rest in neutrality, was not a great person, but there seemed to be a lot more innovation under him. But these days it's just the same thing over and over again. New coat of paint, and if you're an Apple person, you have to get the new one because the last one's gonna just die. I'm your cool Uncle Marissa, and I have an iPad. I bought an iPad because of Procreate, which, if you don't know, Procreate is a artistic tool, painting tool, and it is like leagues more comfortable than using a drawing tablet and a computer, because it's like drawing on paper, except that paper is glass and very slippery. Now, when I first got it, despite getting it with a lot of hatred in my heart, I had a pretty good time with it. But as the years have gone by, my iPad has been battling planned obsolescence. Its battery just drains very quickly. It takes forever to start up. It feels bloated and laggy through no fault of its own or the user. And sometimes I have to deal with that because I want to use Procreate. I want to draw something, paint something. And sometimes, though, I want something like my iPad, but not so serious. I want to just be able to use something technological to draw, to sketch, to take notes, but I don't want it to be such a chore. I don't want to have to charge the iPad, then charge the pencil, then wait for it to boot. And I know this is such like first world problems, but oh my God, the iPad, Apple products. Ah. And of course, the sassier and more enlightened among you might say, what about paper? And it's true. But the thing is, paper is a physical object that takes up space. And so, you can have notebooks upon notebooks, but there's a lot of responsibility that comes with owning your notebook. If you are under 18, please talk to your parents before choosing to adopt a notebook. But joking aside, you might have heard of the power of positive thinking, but you may not have heard of the power of negative thinking. So, full of this negativity against Apple and iPads and just tablets in general, because I thought about other tablets too. They don't have Procreate, they are susceptible to a lot of the same. And it's just too much. I don't need a full Windows OS on my tablet. I conjured myself in a situation where I saw an ad for something called the Supernote. The Supernote, in like the simplest terms I can put it, it's like a Kindle you can write on. It like looks like paper in so far as it's not a glossy reflective surface. It's not backlit or anything like that, but it is very crisp and clear, but you can write on it. Now, I was interested in this, and I kind of hated that I was interested in it because, going back to what I said earlier, paper exists, but there's something about having something that has the digital assets of being able to undo, being able to just make a mess and then delete all of it, or being able to save something for later without it taking up space. There's just something very attractive about that. You don't have to reject technology in order to reject what technology is trying to burden us with. So I started looking into it, and it's just some things off the bat that really struck me. It is a very simple device. You don't need to be connected to the internet to use it. All it does is it lets you take notes. It also actually has an art program on it. You can connect it to Kindle and read ebooks. We'll take a look at what that looks like. It doesn't have a homepage. It doesn't have like an OS to explore or apps to download. It's just very simply, it does what it says. Now the price, of course, it is steep in a vacuum. It is $2.99 for just the tablet. However, it is way cheaper than similar products that, brag about doing the same thing of being this sort of infinite source of paper, these e-writers, so to speak. I had no idea they were so expensive, and I don't understand why. The Remarkable is like $700. And it kind of just got better because I was looking, and so Supernote believes in your right to repair. Would you look at that? The device is very modular in terms of the battery, the storage, external storage, the motherboard, and even the pen. They have two main pens they sell. They sell their regular pen, and then they sell their fancy, like fountain pen seeming metal pen. However, all that aside, you can just buy the insides of the pen and build your own. And I found that there is a very vibrant community on Etsy and on Reddit and other platforms who do make these pen mods. So you're not even stuck with their pen. You can use the body of whatever pen you want. And you might have seen in the thumbnail or when I showed it to you, but I will show you in the video how I put the innards into a Kaweco Sports ballpoint pen. And I love the Kaweco Sport. It's very cute, it's very compact, and it's comfortable to hold for me. And that's one that actually needs no modification. So I was pretty set, and I was like, I want to give this a try. And I did something I don't usually do. I was like, I'm interested in your product, can I try it? And I was not expecting an answer, but I got one, and they were like, yes, and they were so sweet and so personable. And actually, if you do go on their subreddit, they are very active in the subreddit as well. So they seem to be very engaged with the community. And I've been pretty hooked on this thing. I've been doodling in it, and I feel like it's been kind of reactivating my more artistic side when it comes to that sort of thing. I've been like using it to take notes that I would otherwise like take on a piece of paper and then throw out that piece of paper. Bunch of things, but I won't bore you with all that. Let's actually take a look and do a proper review. You can tell that I really like it already, but let's just see what exactly I like about it, how it works. Maybe it's for you, maybe it's not. And let's see how to make that custom pen too. All right, so I think unboxings are dumb, so I don't usually do them, and I'm not gonna do this, but I wanna show you the box. Like, the packaging is so nice. And the reason I wanna show you is to sort of stop myself from hoarding it. But yeah, you got the pen on the side, and then these, actually there was like a sticker on them that said pull, so that you could pull them out easily. And it's just like the folio is in one, and then the Supernote Notepad is in the other. And look at that. It's so cool. Like, I could keep this and use it as a filing system, but I won't because I don't know where to put it, and I should not be hoarding recyclable materials. I will recycle these. Okay, so the folio, I'm gonna be honest, when they asked me which folio I wanted, I didn't really love any of them. The patterns and stuff were kind of not my thing, so I went with this white pleather one. And it's actually a lot nicer than I thought it would be. Like, I'm not usually a fan of this pattern, but it's pretty light. It's not a very thick pattern. It's not very, the indents aren't really significant. But yeah, this is the white vegan leather. I love that. Like, this is just so good because I remember growing up it was pleather, but now we call pleather vegan leather. Like, no, come on, guys. And then you open it and you have the Supernote. And this is the pen. I picked just the standard pen because I felt like the heart of gold? No, I think heart of metal. It just seemed a little too heavy, and I like that this is retractable. It's pretty cool. They also sent me a refill where you can use it to DIY your own pen, which I love that. I love that about this company. And here we have the Supernote itself. Now I got the crystal version, so you can see the back, which is very neat. So here you have your micro SD card slot for expandable storage. This is the battery, and this is the motherboard. And as you can see, you can just unscrew it and replace these. I love that. I love this DIY attitude towards it, this sort of, we don't want the battery to die or expand or explode and you're kind of screwed. You can replace it. Same with the motherboard. The video where they replace it, they show that they just lift out the motherboard and put in the new one. So I would be curious to see if you can actually remove the metal shielding easily. Of course it's possible, but if you can do it easily and replace components yourself. Because as of right now, they don't sell replacement motherboards or batteries on their website. This is fairly a new release, so I think almost probably if not everyone, almost everyone who has one is still under warranty. But there is an eagerness for the replacement parts to become available, because it's all well and good that it's replaceable, but if you're not able to actually purchase a replacement, what's the point? But I think it's a good start and it shows amazing intention. This crystal version also comes with a tiny screwdriver to unscrew it. The white version, I don't know if it comes with a screwdriver or not, but that one has screws, but it also has little clips. So you have to use a little plastic pick to click, click, click it open. And then the folio has the magnets. You know those magnets, the magnetic ones, not the ones that aren't magnetic. And it just clicks on. Kind of reminds me of the Playdate case in that sense. All right. The screen is really beautiful and it has a nice, very light kind of grit to it that is very much like paper. If you've ever used a drawing tablet or an iPad, you know that the slipperiness of it takes a lot of getting used to. But with this, I feel like not so much. Okay, spoilers, I am in fact an amazing artist. I'm going to open a new note, and you do that by opening the menu by pulling down on the right. There is a right-handed and a left-handed version, which is really wonderful. I had my girlfriend try this out and she's left-handed and she was having a lot of trouble, and I reassured her that there's a left-handed mode. I just set it to right-handed. So anyways, it's just you pull down on whichever side you are handed and you can open a new note. Now you can do standard or real-time recognition. Real-time recognition is it allows you to handwrite, but it recognizes and translates it into text, into computer font. And then you can choose vertical or horizontal. And then there's like a ton of different options, which is really cool. So, you can have a blank white. You can also have dots. I love dotted paper personally. Ruled paper, which is really helpful, especially if you're like me and when you're writing, you tend to just start going at a diagonal. And you can also go to customization, and you can load up your own templates as PNGs. So the sky's the limit, kind of. You even have like task list, weekly calendar. All right, so let's just go with white, and we just hit create. All right, and so you have this little thingy at the top. That's like the arrows. That's whether you show or hide your toolbar. Now, when you turn it on for the first time, it does show you everything. So I'm gonna stop being like a tutorial and actually just point out features instead. So you have 3 types of pen. You have needle point pen, which is kind of like a Sakura Micron, like a fine liner. And you have from 0.1 to 0.9, and you can just also do custom sizes with these plus and minuses. And something that I also love is you have colors. Yes, I know that this is grayscale, and I kind of just was like, yeah, okay, probably black and white, right? But no, you have different levels. So you have dark gray, light gray, of course, white. And so let's go with black. And so needlepoint is incredibly fine. I think it's very accurate to the Sakura microns, to be honest. And then the 0.9 is very thick. So it's a bit like the felt tip version of microns. And then the next one, let's set it to, oh no, come back, to ink pen. So ink pen, you have 3, you have 0.5, 0.7, and 1. And ink pen is a bit like a fountain pen, so varying widths based on pressure. Now I'm gonna just do 1, and the reason for that is if you have a very light touch like me, you won't really get a ton of variation. That's part of why I had my girlfriend test it. I wanted to see if she could get variation, and she did, because she has a heavier hand than me. And if I do go with a heavy hand, like, it completely obliterates my handwriting because I'm not used to writing like that. But I start getting that line variation. But it's a lot of work for me to do that. So with this, you just create a square or a circle or whatever around where you want to erase, and that erases it for you. So that was a little disappointing. It would be really cool if there was a way to adjust the pressure sensitivity the same way you would with like a Wacom, but honestly, I don't mind. And then finally we have marker. And marker just comes in 1, and it's not terribly different than the needle point. It has straight ends, and it's thick, and there's only 1 level. And you also have layers, which is very neat and something I didn't expect. You have a lasso tool, so you can move things around. It's honestly a lot more feature rich than I thought for something like sketching, which is a big draw for me. Was I wanted something for sketching. So these e-ink displays, they have varying low refresh rates. And as a result, you see a lot of what used to be there. So you see it's like different colors. There's brighter here, it's darker here. To get rid of that, you just swipe up and it refreshes the page. By the way, you can also get rid of this bottom part by double tapping with 1 finger. You can get rid of the top part by double tapping with 2 fingers. And that way you have a much nicer, cleaner area to work with. Now, if you go to your menu and you go to settings and you go to apps, Supernote App Store, I got a little worried because I was like, wait, I don't really want apps. Like, this thing doesn't even have a home screen. And I love that it doesn't have a home screen. It does what it tells you that it's gonna do. It's just notes. But in the App Store, there's Atelier and Kindle. We all know what Kindle is with an Atelier. When you look at it, it's like, oh, okay, like it's a little paint thingy. It's an art app. And that surprised me because, no color. So I didn't think necessarily that it would have an art app. But when you go to that, this is where you see my beautiful art. So this is a cat that is farting. I tried to draw the back of one of my cats. And this, I was just testing out one of the brushes and I made a hare person going on a walk. Same controls as the note-taking app. But this one has more features. So you have a pencil and it goes from 4H to 8B, so that's hardness. All right, I started a new note so it's not distracting and you're not intimidated by my artistic prowess. But this looks like pencil. Like, when you cross-hatch it, that is pencil. Like, I don't know, can you see this? It's crazy, it's pencil. And the pencil is actually gotta be my favorite one. You have this pressure-sensitive marker. You can also do pixel block, which pixel block is a very similar kind of to that square one in the regular Notes app, except it has round tips instead of square. Then you have regular, which just kind of feels like a fine tip marker. And you have pressure sensitive, which again doesn't really work very well with me because I have such a light touch. So it's not very natural for me to press hard enough to get that. And then you have spray paint, which I think is kind of funny. You can't, I don't think you can control the size of the spray paint. It's just like two sizes, or not two sizes, but like two styles of spray paint. So that was style 2, and then style 1 is just everywhere. Okay, let's erase the entire thing. And that stayed. And then you can zoom in as well to, I think, 150. Yeah, 150. And both with drawings and with notes, you can zoom out to 50% as well. But with both drawings and notes, you can export, and you can export as a PNG with a transparent background. So that is actually amazing for sketches. If you're sketching ideas and you want to then go clean them up, either on your computer, your iPad, wherever, PNG, there you go. You're good. There's also a little color palette, which just has a wider range of grays than the notepad does, which I think is very cute. I also think this could honestly help a lot as well with just learning color theory, because a lot of that is the value of colors as opposed to the color of colors. And now one thing I do want to say that you might have noticed is sometimes I have to press a few times on things to get them to register. It's not the fastest when it comes to responsiveness of things like buttons, but that's okay because that's not the point. And when it comes to actually drawing or writing, there's no noticeable lag. It feels just like I'm writing on paper. Now to the final app, the Kindle app. Very interesting. So with the Kindle app, I was a bit like, this is nice, but I don't know if it's actually going to be good. So you have all of the controls that you would on a Kindle or the Kindle web client or anything, and you can, do the tapping back and forth. And it looks beautiful and it's readable. And the only thing I was concerned about is, unlike a Kindle, it's not really cleaning your page after each one. So I thought it would make it difficult to read and, you'd have to refresh every page. But let's go a few pages. So we've got some quote unquote burn-ins, some leftovers. Because it's all on the same area, it's actually not troublesome. So you could ostensibly use this as a Kindle or an e-reader as well. So if that's something that you are interested in and you want to take notes on the train, but you also want to read when you're out of notes, out of sketches, it's absolutely doable. And of course, you can add things to your Kindle library that aren't from the Kindle store. Otherwise, I would have nary a book on my Kindle back when I was doing that thing called reading. I used to do that a lot, if you'd believe it. Right, and then the other things that are available, you will see, are mail, calendar. These actually integrate with the internet. Gmail, Microsoft Exchange, Outlook, other. And you can be very productive and check your email, check your calendars, everything on this. I don't want to do that. I already have all that nonsense on everything, so I don't want to overwhelm myself further. You also have a calendar. The calendar is also fun because you can write on it. So it's a lot like having a real life calendar. As in like the ones made of paper. And then you can also make them slightly bigger and include different information on those. And then there's also the daily. The daily confuses me because I'm not able to write on it. I don't know if that's a glitch or a decision, like you can add an event, but you can't write on it. And I would really like to write on it because then you could straight up use this as a calendar/diary. Now this is also something that you can connect to your Google Calendar or Microsoft or whatever you use, you weirdo who doesn't use Google, and it'll fill that in for you. And I think that's really neat. It's like, I've tried like Hobonichi once or twice. I used to be really good at keeping a diary, but I'm not anymore. But at the same time, sometimes I do want to log things, either things that have happened or will happen. And having something like this that's not wasteful feels like I would be more consistent with that without feeling guilty about when I don't do it. So I really would love it also if that, more zoomed in view was actually writable. And then when it comes to to-do list and digest, those are kind of interesting because you can add stuff, but you can also go to your notes and you can write something like, I forget to do that a lot. And then lasso it. And then you got the little calendar, and you can either add it to your calendar as an event or as a to-do. And there you go. And then you can add a due date and everything. That's neat. That's not a feature that I'm going to use, but it's neat. And in this way, this honestly really makes me think of a diary or a planner in digital form. Because when you look at a diary or a planner, like even like the Hobonichi, Hobonichi, you have like your calendar, that's the 30-day calendar, or 31, whatever, month calendar. And then you have the areas that are weekly, maybe even daily. And then you have blank pages where you can just sketch or write or whatever. And sometimes you'll even have specific pages like I got like the Hobonichi Weeks. And the reason I got it is because it has pixel Pokemon on it. And in the back, there's like my top 100. And I've just been using that to keep track of games that I've played. And so you can create things like that in here too. And of course, you cannot replace the feeling of paper. And if I had the kind of lifestyle where I needed everything super accessible, like my girlfriend actually does use her Hobonichi very well. Shout out to one of my friends, Tobeans, for introducing us to this world in the first place, because now I have like the yearly Christmas gift for my girlfriend. But she really uses that because her job requires her to keep a lot in her brain. And so I understand the appeal of that. But if you're someone more like me who kind of would want to use it more so for memories or just little tidbits, then I think this is neat. You can also do maybe like I'm going to draw a tiny thing every day in the calendar. You can use it for anything. I primarily will be using this for sketching. I don't really have anything to take notes on. But if you are someone who takes notes, I am when I write something down, it helps me learn and remember, right? So I, throughout college, never could understand everyone who took notes on their laptops because I'm like, you're just typing it out. It's like, you're gonna lose it. So I would handwrite all of my notes. And I think that this is a nice middle ground because you are handwriting the notes and that will help it get into your muscle memory. But at the same time, it's a digital medium. You can export them, you can share them with people, you can do whatever reason it is people take digital notes. And also your backpack will not be the weight upon Sisyphus's back, which we all have scoliosis now. Also the fact that it is so sparse in things going on, you're not going to get distracted. That's another thing. Like, I wouldn't be able to take notes on a computer because I'd be like, oh, well, let me just go on Discord, or let me just, oh, I had a thought, let me Google it. I get very, I like to be doing so many things at once, and that's not healthy when you're in an academic setting. And this is very limiting in a good way. So very good for that, and surprisingly very good for sketching as well. And now next, let's build our own pen. All right, we are back, and we have seen that this is a product with a lot of features to an extent. It does what it sets out to do. It's not bloated, it's not distracting, it's lightweight. I really, really like it. Now, the one thing that I do have a bit of a question mark about is, while it is very modular and you should be able to repair it by just purchasing the right parts, these parts do seem proprietary as of now, and yet they are not available on Supernote's website to purchase. Now, I have seen them mentioned on a lot of subreddits that this is something that they're working on. In fact, they are even working on a larger version than the Nomad to re-release, because I believe they did like an overhaul of their original ones, and they gave everyone who had the original one a discount on the newer one. So they are very much still in flux, in process. So I definitely give them the benefit of that and the benefit of the time. It just feels like a very odd thing to do if you have no intention of fulfilling it. So I do believe they have the intention. I just hope that we can see that happen. And then of course the question does remain that in the unfortunate event that if the company fails or something, is that something that they'd be willing to do to make it so that the parts are named and numbered and maybe put together a guide of like where to order them from, etc. But because they're so covered right now, you really have to like break them open to see what's going on in there. And with the like main board especially, if they would release the schematics of that so that you could troubleshoot it if something goes wrong, you don't have to buy the entire main board. If it doesn't exist anymore especially, and you could just replace components, how accessible would that be? So in terms of who this is for, it's for me. I think it's for anyone who is looking for a digital notebook that just does that, that has a great battery life, that feels like taking notes on paper. You know, you don't have all of that clutter. For artists, this is really great. I think it's great in that you're limited into these grayscale colors and shades, and, you know, very limited amount of tools, and playing with values, I think it can be very helpful. I think it's really neat for sketching because the fact that you can actually export things is fantastic. And so you can do your sketch in the Supernote, export it as a PNG, and then finish it up on your computer or your dreaded iPad in Procreate or any sort of thing, or even traditional media. It's just very, very broad number of uses. Of course, it's not for someone who wants something that is the full package, someone who literally just wants an iPad, who wants to browse the internet, who wants to play Candy Crush, the only game on the App Store, I promise you, according to several grandmas I've interviewed. For someone who wants to listen to music, for people who like, I want everything to be on one device. I want everything to be on one powerful device. That's not for you. That's for someone who wants to be able to use technology for such things without having to drown in the technology. It's also easy on the eyes, which personally is something that I appreciate. It's hard for me to read too long on a backlit screen, but reading like on a Kindle does have the limited eye strain that a book does compared to the more significant eye strain of a computer or a phone. And of course, this is absolutely for people who cherish their right to repair, who want something modular, who don't just want to throw it in the landfill when the battery's bloated or if there's some sort of defect. It also does come with a warranty, by the way, so as long as they can get those things up in the storefront, those replacement parts, in I think a year or two, you have the warranty to take care of you. And it's definitely something for people who want to customize, because you can make your own pen. Come on. I'm really hung up on that. That's so cool. Ultimately, I'm so happy to see something like this in the market. Big thank you to Supernote for sending one over. That was just super kind. And of course, this review, like all of my reviews, is not seen by the company or paid for or anything. These are all my genuine, heartfelt thoughts. Big thank you to all of my Ko-fi supporters, to you for watching this video. I feel like this channel, while very much focused on a very specific side of low tech technology, that specifically being retro gaming on original hardware, that we do be liking to mess around with every once in a while. For me, that love and passion does come from a place of just enjoying the diversity of tech, and especially of low tech, not homogenized and cluttered, bloated tech, if that makes sense. So I do appreciate you guys letting me explore things like the Supernote every once in a while. I hope that this is interesting to you, and maybe you'll check one out. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts if you've tried any e-writers like this, because just a little disclaimer, I have never tried the Remarkable or any of the other ones. So if they have something that you feel is superior and warrants that doubled price tag, I'd love to hear. Otherwise, don't forget that you're always welcome at Cool Uncle's house, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.